In this video, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of Acumbamail and whether it's something you should be looking at. One of the things I like about Acumbamail is it's easy to set up. This was actually set up, created by a Spanish company. And that's why when you go to the site, you want to have this little EN on the end there. And that will help make sure you're on the English site, because sometimes if it gets cookied, then it'll start showing you the Spanish version, which you can translate. But all right, let's get into it. This is a great way to easily send email and SMS campaigns to grow your business. And it's one of the few automation tools that's actually pretty easy to use. And that's the knock on a lot of these things like ActiveCampaign that does also have that automation. It's very difficult to make a sequence and to have everything flow the right way. So they do email services. They also do SMS services. And I like combining the two because if you do have a high value lead capture, you can ask for a phone number, or if it's a sale, you can ask for the phone number, and then you're able to message them on SMS. And that I think is really powerful because then you're hitting them from different platforms, let's say. And I think that's really cool. It's also very effective. So use it with caution. You don't need to do it a ton, but if you're thinking about how to really reach people beyond just email, it's a great way to really reach out. And then they have these landing pages you can rate and surveys as well, which is pretty cool. So they started off with basically a single platform to help people get started and be able to get their message out. So if you just want like a simple platform and you've been disappointed by how confusing and overwhelming ActiveCampaign is, then Acumbamail is really a good strategy. As I said, I love this multi-channel strategy. You can edit your template. The other thing about it that I think is really cool is it has this heat map. So when people come and go to your emails, you can actually see where they're clicking and the percentage of that. And that makes you make better decisions as a business owner. They do have some integrations, which I think they got a bunch of native integrations. And then these ones down here are powered by Zapier. So you can, integrate it with a fair ton of stuff. And I know that's a really important consideration for email. Now, not all of the other platforms necessarily, like Acumbamail is a little bit of a smaller platform, so it's not supported pretty much globally, let's say Aweber is. But I found that I was actually just setting up something in Zapier the other day, which was taking a sale and putting them into a membership site and giving them access to a course. It's actually quite easy to do. I wouldn't worry too much about that because you'll be able to get that done. They do have really good support. One thing I do want to talk about is the pricing plans. And that's one of the things that it always comes down to. So they have this per month. So if you want to send just 2,000 emails per month, up to 250 subscribers, they also have a free plan that you can test out. And then 20,000 emails a month, and so on and so forth. And you can scale that up. You can also see based on subscribers, just to compare, because most autoresponders price it on that. They also have this interesting thing of a prepaid. So this is going to be more expensive, but if you just want to prepay and you don't want to have a monthly subscription, this is a really interesting option because the 5,000 mailings, depending on how your list goes, you might find this limited. It does have an expiry date. This is a good way to start off and get going as well without the monthly fee. What I found is that building an email list is not necessarily going to be super quick. So it will take you some time to do that. And depending on what you're doing, the automations and stuff that you set up, you want to have the go out right away. If someone opts in for an ebook, then you want to follow up with a series of emails. But in my experience, I don't broadcast my list a whole bunch of times. So it might be like once or twice a month while I'll send out a broadcast. So if I have, let's say, 2,000 people on the list, that could be 2 whole broadcasts that I send, and it would cover all of that. But I do want to tell you about AppSumo. They are running a deal right now. This is a huge lifetime deal. As you can see, 91% off, and they've got 570 reviews. And on AppSumo, I do take that seriously. It's got 4.5 tacos, 570 reviews. That means people are actually using it and they like it. And the large number of reviews actually means it's serving the need of the marketplace and people are trying it and they're liking it and they're using it, which are all good things. So that's good about it. So again, this is seriously less expensive option to ActiveCampaign and MailChimp. And one of the best use cases for this, there's really two, okay? You can design these emails and they do have a lot of the marketing elements you can add to it. So you can easily put in GIFs, you can put in videos, you can even put in countdown timers. And I really like that because those are the marketing elements that I think are missing from a lot of the more corporate focused platforms like ActiveCampaign. Sorry to pick on ActiveCampaign. If you're a user of ActiveCampaign, you can hit me up in the comments and let me know what you think of what I'm saying about that. But if you want to have basically when you think of an email list, okay, there's two things you want to think of. People are going to join your list. Maybe they're going to download, let's say, an ebook and then get a sequence based on that. Okay. And that is what you want to set up with something like this, where you can set up a sequence and you can actually have a customized sequence where if they do this, or if they click on this, then change them to a different sequence. And that's the power of automation. You really want to set that up, particularly to build that connection up for that new subscriber or that new buyer. Okay. And then there's also lists where it's more like a newsletter where you're going to email them out, maybe things on a weekly basis, maybe randomly as it comes up. And so that's like a broadcast. And so you want to think of an email solution being able to do both of those. One of the things that, let's say, ConvertKit can do is on their free plan, they can actually just do that second one, the broadcast. You can create forms, all that stuff for free. But if you want to actually do segmentation, then you're not going to be able to do that without a paid plan. And then you're on a monthly subscription. And I know a lot of people, if you want to keep your business light, you don't necessarily want to get into a monthly subscription. And I can understand that, particularly if you're testing out maybe a new business model or something like that. However, email communication is unavoidable. You need to have good email communication and do that. I also want to mention, you can import contacts from Google Sheets. So this is great. Maybe if you're getting a list of your customers who have downloaded something from Gumroad or some other platform, and maybe like a Teachable, and you can import them into here. And we'll also validate email lists for hard bounces, which is really good as well. And that's included. Obviously, they don't want to send to hard bounces because they're doing the email and they're worrying about all the deliverability. So you can make a landing page that looks pretty good very quickly in this, which is nice. And they have all pro plans. They've actually got a Trello public roadmap you can look at, and they have 5 different tiers. So I'm going to talk about this right now. And as you can see, tier 1 is $79, and that's not a month, that's one time. So that's comparable to what a lot of other platforms will charge for a month. I know over at Beehive, if you want to be on one of the paid plans that has access to all their features, that's where you're basically starting out. And so this really makes a lot of sense, I think, for a lot of people because it fits that market niche where you need to have an email autoresponder. You need to communicate with your customers, but you don't want to get locked into a monthly fee. And sometimes these fees are quite high because there is the whole aspect dealing with ESPs and getting your emails delivered is an expensive business. It just is. So they have the list cleaning. You can also parse in your Facebook audiences, which is really cool. So $79 one time, you get 20,000 cents per month. And so when you think about that, you're paying $79 and that's 20,000 cents per month. For a lot of people, that could get them on and in their business. And again, no monthly fee. You think of this just paying for, let's say, 2 years and you're sending 20,000 emails a month. Like maybe if you were doing like a launch and you wanted to send a bunch of messages out all at once, it wouldn't be so effective. But if you were just building your business steady, then that might be a really good option. They also have different tiers here where if you feel like that would be not enough for you, you could get the 40,000 email sent per month. And so this is priced not based on the number of subscribers that you have, but the number of sends that you have. So the number of times you send an email to each of those subscriber, that's going to be one of those email sends, right? This is great. And you can actually build a big list if you're not emailing that often and still have that one-time cap fee. Then they also have this tier 3. What's interesting is that tier 4, it doesn't say this here, but you can actually have white label this. So you can get 20 sub accounts And so for $340, you could basically start your own email autoresponder service where you actually can charge people. And obviously, the thing is with email and people, you wouldn't want to have someone that imports a bunch of people and does that. But you can actually start a little business and sell 20 sub accounts right here. And that's a perfect business for people to start, particularly if you can help them get set up and you're going to build, let's say, their capture page. I know there's a lot of people who are desperate for that. So they've been out for about 10 years and they have sent 50 million emails a month, a whole bunch of, they've got good analytics. But this is really, so here's the thing with Acumbamail. If you want to have a one-time fee on your autoresponder and you want to have automation, you want to have that kind of sequence where that, if not, if this, then do this type thing, then basically your only option is Acumbamail. Also, if you want to have a one-time autoresponder and you want to build your business, this is a really great option for that. Some of the other options, they're free. I showed you Acumbamail has a free plan for 2,000 subscribers. MailChimp also has a free plan for a limited number of subscribers with limited features. And also ConvertKit has a limited number of features for their free plan. You can actually build landing pages there as well. But I just want to be, in the sake of transparency, tell you about this because I feel like this is really going to make a lot of sense for people, particularly because this is a Black Friday special. So if you really want to set up your business and have it be able to run without that monthly fee, when you break this over, even if you were to break this tier 4 over an entire year, if you look at what you're paying per month, like it's less than $20 a month. And that's just 1 year. And then the next year and the next year and the next year. It makes a ton of sense, guys. Just wanted to share that with you. I'm going to put a link to this and I'll update the description if this deal is over and what I recommend in that case. All right. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And if you've used any of these services, ConvertKit, Aweber, Acumbamail, let people know what you think in the comments. It does help people understand that it's not just me saying this or that other people will, validate that, or maybe they have a different experience and that's cool too. So check out the link in the description. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. I do consults as well. So if you want everything set up for you or a funnel set up or your product integrated, I can do stuff like that. You can reach out and contact me about that. All right, that's all I got for this video. I hope to see you in the next one. Make sure you are subscribed and keep it locked.